Gonna work. Oops, I got my blanket up there. Okay, everybody. Let's see if I can turn this up a little bit. I still figured haven't figured this thing all out yet, but hopefully you can hear me. Um, I did my ARC thing today, and I guess I'm happy because I started out last year, I think I was at 35, 34, and then I was kind of 40, 34, 33, and then 32, 31, 32, 33. I kind of bounce around that on that reading where they tell how well you're doing with your ALS, basically. So yes, my ALS has really slowed down because I started 9 years ago at 47 because they'd already put me on a BiPAP, ASV, okay? And for those of you that follow me know that last summer I had kind of a rough time and I started getting CO2 from my BiPAP. I don't know if the ASV went out or if my diaphragm got worse. I'm kind of thinking both things happened. And so they put me on an NIV vent because I'm not going to go with an invasive vent and I'm not going to go with a feeding tube, okay? I want a more natural death like my grandfather had. I'd seen my grandfather in his bed as he had his last days. And I also seen my father in the hospital hooked up to all this stuff and the look in his eyes. And I'll never get over that look that it was in his eyes. And there's nothing I could do because his wife at the time was calling all the shots, okay? So I just want to pass as natural as I can. And then also, I guess I feel I need to talk about this a little bit because I was not aware of this, okay? When hospice comes in, okay, when my mom passed with cancer, okay, and I was taking care of her, and I had never taken care of somebody that was dying before. And mom had said when they came in, she says, can we just call that doctor that ends things now because I'm in so much pain? Thank goodness she said that because I feel better, okay? Because what the hospice do, they come in, they start giving you morphine. What they don't tell you is morphine fills up your lungs and you will die faster, okay? So I don't have any problem if you choose morphine because you know you're going to die faster and maybe you die easier. I don't know. But I don't like it that people get sick, they go in the hospitals, they put them on morphine because that's gonna we have so many lung issues anyway with ALS, and then to put morphine, that's going to make you pass much faster. I just have to be honest about that. And some, like I said, it's different than if you want to pass faster because you know you're dying. Then if you're going to the hospital, that's telling me you're wanting to get better. So don't go on morphine then, okay? Um, Look morphine up. I never had when I found that out. I know a couple times my mom didn't want me to give her morphine. So I don't know if it made her feel weird or what, but hospice had said if she's getting where she can't get comfortable and everything, put a little bit in there, and I did. And now I wish I wouldn't have, when she didn't want it. So Anyway, that's just, it's a personal thing. And like I said, I have a thing. I'm not having any morphine when I'm going. I just want to pass naturally. I think probably I will put on my NIV vent and just not wake up some morning, okay? That's what I was going to talk to you a little bit about too. I see more people that will not get on BiPAPs early on. Every doctor should be putting you on BiPAPs. I've said this before on a video, but let me explain to you. They had put me on a BiPAP, well, CPAP, and then a BiPAP right before my diagnosis. And I got worse on the CPAP, and by then they knew I had the gene, and so then the therapist says, no wonder you couldn't wear that because of your diaphragm, and they put me on the BiPAP. I have been on that faithfully every night for the last 9 years. That is one reason I'm still here, everybody. And I know some people have trouble getting their doctors to put you on that. That is the only thing that's going to save your diaphragm, okay, with your lungs. And by sleeping with that for 7 hours, 8 hours a night, my oxygen during the day runs anywhere from 100 down to 92 during the day, okay? I have fans next to me, and what I do is if my oxygen drops to 92, I turn my fan on, and it brings my oxygen up to 95, 96, 97. Okay, so I don't have to wear anything during the day. Now I understand towards the end, I may have to, okay? So if you have to be on it 24/7, I understand that with the ALS, okay? But what I'm trying to help are these new people, what maybe will help them where they won't have to do that as soon, okay? Um, so I have been on that faithfully, and then, like I said, what happened 6 months ago, I started getting CO2. I couldn't remember stuff. It's not like getting older and can't remember. This was stuff that I knew I couldn't remember, and it's like, what's going on with me? And I felt horrible. I almost felt like I was dying. It was awful. And everything was kind of whacked out on me, and I was, again, God was good to me because he got me the best therapist and the guy helping the therapist, and they helped me understand why I needed this machine because I wasn't too excited about getting it, I'll be honest, and how it would get rid of the CO2. They asked what my mask was, what my hose was, all that stuff, and I'm doing awesome on this NIV vent machine. And I will tell you, by accident, I forgot to turn the heat on it, but I had put my distilled water and I used it at night and it worked fine for me. So I thought, I had seen people say how they get backwash in these hoses and they have all these issues. Don't turn the heater on. I found out by accident, and I've never turned the heater on. I just fill that thing up, and he also said make sure you get a long hose. So I've got a longer hose. My boyfriend put a little hook up on it's on my cabinet thing out there in my bedroom, and so I just swope that hose over that, and I'm in bed, so it isn't just hanging all on the floor, okay? And I have never had backwash happen. I've never had all the issues people have with these. Now I use the F20 mask. It's more of a spongy mask. It's not like the ones they try to give you. These, I love these. I haven't had an issue with these. And and then the other trick I do is when I get up in the morning, I have a little jar of Vaseline. Sometimes I get the Vaseline with the coconut and stuff, and I just stick my fingers in and I just rub it on my face, take my glasses off, rub it across my eyes, rub it across my lips, my chin, all over my face, this Vaseline. Not thick, just a nice, like you're just, and you know what? I have never had crusty eyes. My lips are always great. My skin's better. Um, it works. It really does work. Just simple little things that will make it easier for you with the NIV vent or the BiPAP. So I hope any of those help you. And if you have any questions after being on them 9 years, I'll try to answer or tell you what I've done because I've had good luck with it. Okay. But something kind of scary has happened in the last week. I had one day here about a week and a half ago where I was sneezing more, I was coughing more. So I got on my cephalexin. I preached and preached about the cephalexin, and that cephalexin has got me through so many things. Let me tell you, the minute my voice gets a little raspy, the minute I'm coughing way more than I normally do, I'd start taking that about 2 or 3 times a day for about 3 days. Then I might follow up with one a day for a few other days, okay? And I've stayed out of the hospital by that, okay? And so that's what I use also. And then I think I've talked about Emma. This is what I get. It's called Emma. And I get it. I'm happen to get it now on Amazon. And it says to take 2. I only take 1 because I'm very sensitive. I even break up my mucus pills and do a half in the morning and a half at night because I can't take a whole one or it makes me feel horrible. So don't be afraid, even with the caretakers, with your patients, or if you're the patient. I cut up even my blood pressure pills. I don't need a full one, and I take the lowest they have, but I use the low ones. And that's something else I want to talk about, that there's just been a few things really weighing on my heart reading these forums, okay? And that's why I thought I would go over on this video on the things that have been kind of bothering me, that I read that people are having trouble with or asking about, or these doctors are doing they shouldn't be doing, like putting them on morphine when they go to the hospital to get better. That don't do that. And the other thing is, okay, when I over my 9 years, I've seen a lot of people on the forums, and there was a guy like me who was still pretty mobile, okay, and could talk and take care of himself like I do. And he went out and climbed up a ladder and was working on his gutters, and he came down, he had ALS, went in his lounge chair, and he passed away. Another person, his wife had called me to ask what I was doing. I think the biggest problem with taking THC gummies is the way I do it is you never feel high. So you take them And the way I told you to take them, and you don't feel anything, and you shouldn't feel anything, okay? What you're trying to feel is as normal as you can, okay? No pain, and you're feeling more like yourself and not like you're, got so much. It'll help on your phlegm, it'll help you swallow better, it will help your fatigue. Um, Something else I take to help with fatigue also is Vinny coffee. Now, my boyfriend, he doesn't like coffee, and it comes in tea, and they even have tablets now, I guess, and juice. So you have different ways, and all it is grapes. They do this over in Israel. I watched for a whole year on this and studied it before I ever tried it. And I have to say, they were saying after 2 months, within a week, I had more energy. I didn't have brain fog so much when I get up. I will not go without that stuff. And then I found out that they have tested where it does lift your arteries and your veins. Like, if they're like this, it'll make them bigger so your blood flows through better. And I have to say, all my vitals and stuff have been a little better since I went on this stuff. And I drink 1 cup of that every morning. I can't even drink it afternoon, or I can't get to sleep. And I drank it a little later today, so I'm doing my video a little later. It gives me all this extra energy, okay? So that's another thing to help. That'll help with the fatigue. The THC gummies help with the fatigue, and the CBD. CBD helps. And the other thing THC and CBD will do is make your blood thinner. And that's the other thing, is a lot of people have been going to the hospital with blood clots, okay? I have worn compression socks since day one, okay, because it's helped with the cramping in the feet and the legs, and I even sleep in them, and I've done that for 9 years. So for 9 years, I've been wearing these compression socks 24/7 like a second skin. Now, what I just ordered this week, because I have been having a little more ankle and a little more feet cramping. Like I said, I'm about 9.5 years in. And so I ordered some just little, I'll show you one of them here. I love the stuff that is just the stretchy stuff. That's what I always use. They don't weigh anything, so they won't put extra weight. These have strappies, and you put them on, they go over your arch, and they go up your leg, and you do your strappies. And the ones that I'm wearing right now, they just slip on, and they cover my arch, and they go up a bit. And I just put them over my compression socks, so I have double compression. And I do that. My phone has been saying that my walking is poor and that I'm going to fall down in the next 12 months. But it's been telling me that for 3 years, okay? My walking gets better, it gets worse. If I overdo, it gets worse. If I rest for 3 days and go, my walking's pretty good. And I don't walk that far. I might get on my little golf cart, go to my club, get my mail, get back in, come in. You can kind of see my trailer here. I have a park model. Like tomorrow I'll change my bedding, go in there. So I get a lot of steps with just taking care of myself and doing stuff I need to. And then my boyfriend takes me over to a casino, and we'll put a couple 20s in, but I can walk from one end of the casino to the other, but I can sit down if I need to. And if I go in a grocery store, I grab a cart and I push that cart all through the grocery store. And that's the same as if I had a walker, okay? It just helps me. So that's another little trick you can do. I don't even use a cane yet. I want my body to know it has to walk on its own. I kind of look at our bodies as a car, or it's God's robot. God created us, okay? We're not a robot, or we're a robot he put skin on, and he gave us a heart and a brain, okay? And he gave us our lungs, but he also gave us a soul and a spirit, okay? And anyway, it's trying to train the robot part of us. The soul and the spirit is working, I look at it that way, is working on my body, okay? And this is going to make you die laughing, and it's the truth. I have been living on cheeseburgers. I put a tomato on there. I put my mayonnaise. Most things make me choke. That doesn't. I can get my fruit from the tomato, or my vegetable, my cheese, my hamburger, my bread. I get all 4 food groups from that. And then I eat French fries with ketchup because they're easy for me with the ketchup to swallow. And that's about all I eat in a day most of the time is that. And then I buy these little miniature Tootsie Rolls. They're just little teeny, they're not much bigger than that. And there's 400 of them. And I'll grab a handful, I'll put them by my desk where I sit all the day when I rest. And I take them, I unwrap them, but that gives me exercise with my fingers, just like my typing on my keyboard, okay? And then I eat them. That helps exercise my mouth to chew a little. And I swallow them, and they go down good because they're really soft and they chew easy and they go down. And I have to say, this is funny, I do that, Emma, and doing these Tootsie Rolls, I'm getting my body trained to go in the morning, and I swear I'm crapping Tootsie Rolls, people. As goofy as that sounds, and I suppose it's taken some other stuff with it, but it's working for me, and it's keeping my colon working, I guess, I think. I mean, at this point, I've got to keep this body working, and it's not easy. I do. People have no idea all these little things I do, and that's one secret I just shared with all of you, okay? But it works for me. It may work for you, and it also gives me some more calories, okay? Because they say if you're a little heavier, you will live longer and do better, and you won't progress as fast. So that's another thing. Don't be going on all these silly diets, doing all this stuff. You eat what you want and can eat. I don't have an appetite anymore. I have absolutely no appetite. But I know I have to eat every day, okay, to stay alive. And I don't know, other things do not sound good to me. I don't want, but there for a couple years ago, I was eating a lot of ice cream. Now I don't even want it, okay? So it'll change with you. So eat what you want when you can eat it. And if you put on 5 pounds or whatever, don't worry about it because you might lose 8 overnight. I've done that before, okay? So it's a constant. I used to weigh myself, worried I'd put a weight on. Now I weigh myself where I'm going to lose a pound, okay? Because sometimes it's hard to get it back on with ALS. So The other thing I was going to talk about is the heart thing. I was telling you about the lady that called me, and her husband had tried the gummies. I don't know what happened. They ended up flying to another country. I've known several people that have done that, spent a lot of money to do stuff. They went twice. They came back, and he passed away. But he was walking like I was. He was doing things. He wasn't in wheelchairs yet. And this is what I'm going to talk to you about. And I've talked about this in a video, how my ALS started with a weak diaphragm, my voice, my lungs, and my heart, and my blood pressure was all wacky, and my temperature. I was hot, I was cold, I was hot, I was cold. And the doctors don't look at this that much. And yes, it's rare for some of us that start our ALS with that. And that's what I deal with on a daily basis, okay? And I've been controlling the blood pressure pretty good. The heart rate and the oxygen, I can control my oxygen pretty good with being on that BiPAP or vent at night. And then my oxygen's pretty good during the day, okay? But at night, it can drop way down. But the heart rate is, the other thing is you have to have enough oxygen for your heart to work right, okay? So if you're not getting enough oxygen or when you're sleeping, that's going to put a stress on the heart and the heart's going to be worse, okay? So that machine's helping my heart and my oxygen. Now, what happened this week is I wake up sometimes at 3 or 4 in the morning, and usually I go in, I have to pee, okay? I do that, and then I'll check my vitals just to be sure what's going on. I about freaked. My oxygen had dropped down to 72, and my heart rate was down to like 31. And I thought, holy crap, is this thing working right? And it stayed there for a long time. And I went and took a drink of water, and then it started going back up again. And I got back in bed, and by then everything had came back up again. And that happened last night too. It dropped down again. Only it was like in the 81 this time, I think it was. And the heart rate, I think, was 40 when I woke up at night. Most of the time, it can be at 98, 97, even on my vent, but what happens when you sleep and lay down, you're more systematic. You're going to have more issues with your oxygen dropping, your heart dropping, your blood pressure, with all this stuff going. And my heart can go up to 130 and it'll go down to 11. That's what my heart does with this ALS. And part of it is the muscles and nerves, and that nerve that runs all this is damaged in me, okay, from my ALS. And I have, I think, a video on that explains all that a little more. But I wanted to touch base on that too, because if you're doing well, be sure and check your blood pressure every morning and night. If it's okay, then don't worry about it. But if it's a little high, a little low, then you need to check it a couple hours later, okay? So you know what's going on with that. I take a half a blood pressure pill if mine's high, and it'll drop me clear low. So play around with your pills a little bit if something isn't working, okay? And then the heart rate, I've been you know, it's AFib really bad, and there's nothing they can do about it with my ALS. So I control my heart rate with my THC and my gummies. Now I've been doing a little more CBD with my gummies sometimes because that keeps it. With your THC, that can raise your heart rate, and the CBD can lower your heart rate. So if you put them together, if the gummies causing your heart rate to go up, or if it's doing that, see, I started out 6 months ago and I was cutting my gummies in fours. And then all of a sudden, my body didn't want that much. I was having, all these heart, everything going, all this crazy. So now I cut my gummies in 8 pieces and take one little piece, okay? And right now, with what my body's doing, that's working. And it just depends on, it's cheaper for me to buy the higher gummies and cut them up into eights. And I get different types of THC in that. So with 9 years, that's what I'm doing, because I want to keep myself alive as long as I can. So anyway, I go see my pulmonary doctor here on Wednesday, okay? So I'll go see them, and I see them every 6 months unless I have a problem, but I haven't had any issues with my NIV vent. I've been on there 6 months, and I'm sure that's what they're checking, is if that's helping me, which it is, and everything. And I will tell them about the oxygen and heart dropping too much, but that's what that vent does. When it drops that low, it starts putting more air, and that's probably what woke me up. I don't know, but I was a little shocked over that. I thought, whoa, good thing I'm on that, or I probably wouldn't be here today, okay? And that could be what happened to these people that passed away, okay, with ALS, even though they weren't completely, in wheelchairs and stuff. ALS affects us all very differently, but I work hard at this. Just like if my arms, I think I've said that before, if my arms hurt, I cut my feet off of my compression socks and I put one of those compression things on there. I had a friend in my park that was going on and on about how bad her arms hurt. I said, let me give you one of my compression. Well, where do you buy these? I said, I cut the feet off of my compression socks. And she was laughing. And it's like, it works, So I do kind of the poor man's take care of yourself. But the only meds I am taking is the sulflaxin for an antibiotic, the Emma to go to the bathroom, the mucus stuff to go, the CBD, the THC, and then I take my birth control, or not birth control pill, wow, till it's late tonight. My blood pressure pill, I meant to say, okay? And then I have some salve. I told people before too, I bought some THC and CBD with a jar, because I've had squamous cancer, and if I get a little thing that looks like that, I put that on it and it'll make it go away. And I've used it, for all kinds of stuff. And I'll dip it in and put it in my nose too. And if I'm having what I call it, a ramp day, and boy, that just helps everything, mellow out, my meds, and then I do that too. So whatever it takes for me to have no pain and slow down the ALS attack on my body, that's what I try to do. So anyway, that's an update, and I don't know if I updated after I went and seen my cancer doctor, and this is the 2nd year that I'm cancer free yet. So I'm telling you that THC stuff does work, and Um, and then that Emma too has all kinds of natural vitamin stuff and things in it. And I know last time I had my blood work, it was pretty good. It really was. And I think it's because that Emma and that cheeseburger. And they told me my kidneys were good. So everybody says, "Oh, this will ruin your kidneys," and that won't. Even my blood pressure pill I take, some doctors wouldn't give it to me. "Oh, it'll ruin your kidneys." My kidneys are fine. So you can't listen to everything that we've been told, I guess. And they don't have a clue on this ALS, what's affecting what or how. And so this is kind of what I've been doing, is training my body to do certain things. Like if I drink, like I've showed you before, I drink to put my water in these. Mm. And after I go fill that water bottle up again, then I go in and sit on the pot and I pee. I don't feel like I have to, but I have to. I don't have a lot of feeling to know when I go to the bathroom anymore, so I had to train my body to go at certain times, and it actually trained and did that, okay? So anyway, my heart goes out to all of you, and like I said, this was kind of all over the place, but I've been watching forums, and these were just some things that I have seen and experienced and know about, and I just wanted to pass some of that on because maybe that will save your life. It's the same with giving people oxygen with ALS. Unless you're dying, do not take oxygen, okay? That's why I use my fans, next to me, and I use my NIV vent, but I don't put oxygen to it because oxygen will give you CO2 and you will die faster. So it breaks my heart. People get infections at home, they go to the doctor, they give them oxygen, they give them morphine, they come home and they die 2 weeks later. They're killing them. They're killing them. And, that sulflaxin, I had a doctor 20 years ago tell me with chronic asthma that if I got any kind of infection in my lung at all, to take that med, and I'm still taking it. I went to Mexico and bought a bunch of that when I got COVID that time, and that's probably what saved me. And I still have some of that. And then my doctor prescribed it for me because I told her that I have to take that to keep out of the hospital. And I was blessed that she wrote me a prescription for that. So anyway, that's kind of my update for the 1st of February. And I try to, if something changes, I do a couple of these a month. If not, then I try to get on here at least once a month to talk to you guys, just to let you know how I'm doing. And I'm a real person. I'm not an AI person. These aren't fantastic things, but I'm here to give information. And my goal by having these is so that even if one person sees this and they live even a year or 2 years longer, it's worth me doing this. And again, I've seen Kathy Jordan. She lived 35 years. I hope I'm here a long time, at least 20. Bless her heart. She's the one that inspired me, and I had never taken that stuff before. But after seeing her videos, I decided, and then I did some research to a doctor in California, found out how to dose it and how the different types. And And it's a learning curve all the time, okay, on everything. We're always learning. And those forums, you're going to learn more from people on those forums because they're actually people living and doing this. Um, so, anyway, I know this was a little lengthy, but I just had a lot of stuff on my heart. And I feel better now that I've shared that with all you guys. And I want to thank you people that subscribe because then you'll see the videos when I update them, and it's free to subscribe. And that's the only reason I want subscriptions is so you guys can see updates, and hopefully there's one thing that'll help you because all this stuff, like these things that I wear and I sleep in, I mean, I can still move my fingers after 9 months. I've wore these for 9 years. I've wore these ever since I seen that on a forum. I've wore these for 9 years and sleep in them, and I can still lift a little bit, and I can still move my fingers, okay? So this light pressure, ALS loves light pressure. And I don't have any vanity. It's all about staying alive and being pain free. That's my word. That's where my vanity is. And so if I have to wear compression socks, I used to wear knee socks in high school. I just put on my skirt, put on my compression socks, my lightweight shoes, and I just go like I did when I was 16, even though I'm 73 now. I just turned 73. So thank you, everybody, and God bless. And I'm praying for all of you. And I just hope there's something in here that was helpful for you. Thank you so much. Goodbye.